back. But I'm going to turn you over to Mandy, who will ask you some questions.
Hey,
And then I'm just going to insist that everybody here, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on me. Let's go on you. Oh, we're not up there. Hold on. How come we're not up there? Okay. Let's get you there.
Okay.
So we just have to.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for talking to us about the film. It was wonderful. I think everyone enjoyed it a lot.
Well, thank you.
So good. So I just had a couple questions for you. First is just about the story and how it evolved and like at what point you came on to the film. Because like from what it seemed, you were like at his first concert and maybe even at some of his first auditions, or were some of those like
Yeah, the magic of editing, right?
Yeah.
It's all.
So when did you like join the band, and when were you like with them?
Actually, I was with them when Arnel had already gotten the gig, and they were rehearsing for the tour.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's when we came on board. So the audition footage, that was Arnel's manager filming the entire process, because Arnel thought this is the only time I'll ever be with them. So he wanted a record for himself. He never really thought he was going to get the gig. So he wanted to film everything. Like he wanted just, for posterity. He was going to show it to his grandchildren someday.
Right.
Audition. So we got lucky, and it was decent footage, so that's where we got that. And then Chile, basically Chile, I mean, they filmed it, for all of South America. So we took it, we licensed that footage from them. And then everything else is like, editing, smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Like we were there. But that's really when we got permission, and we were vetted, was their tour in America. And they went.
So how was it easy, or how easy was it to get the access to all of that, to like all the concert footage, and like was it a struggle at the beginning? Like, did you know like how much you were going to be getting, or was it all up front?
Well, the concert footage, all of it is ours. All of it we shot except for Chile. Okay. Chile was not easy, but you go through the normal channels, right? You license it. It was, I think, a big production company in Chile. So that way we went through the normal channels. That wasn't hard. The of course, more difficult process was getting, and not really difficult because we had the permission of the band, was their music. The music rights was, that's like a labyrinth. It's crazy. And of course, we didn't, I was told like halfway through the summer that the Journey catalog is like one of the hardest catalogs to license. Like only next to like Michael Jackson's and the Beatles, and then Journey. I'm like, oh great, but you hope, and then of course the band gave us permission, signed off on their part of the rights. But as you know, music rights is very complex and layered, so they don't own it fully. So many other people were involved in the ownership of the rights. So it got very complicated. We had a great lawyer, and they were on board with us licensing it. So it was just a matter of going back and forth and, negotiating.
All right. So was the band very, like, would they talk to you openly? I mean, was it easier to talk to the band members than it was to Arnel, since maybe he wasn't used to as much publicity?
No,
and that's the point?
Arnel was the easiest one to talk to, but because it was his first year with the band, and I speak the language, I speak Tagalog, so, and I was the only one who could really speak Tagalog on tour, so, and he was alone. I mean, if we had done this the second year, it wouldn't have been the same thing, because by then he had he had like not a manager, but he had a handler the next year. He traveled with his wife. He had this sort of cordon sanitaire around him the second year, but not the first. The first, we were we were his like sounding board. So it was so easy. And he really got on board, and he really liked the idea that we were filming him. So we sort of had, like, we could come in and out of his dressing room. He was the easiest part of the whole equation, because he was really did it and sort of yeah, yeah, he could talk to us, and we were his, like, little, retinue around him.
So was this your idea, or did you get brought onto the project? Like, how did the whole entire thing get started?
I actually, I was finishing a film, and then I had read an email basically saying that he had gotten the gig. And I thought, oh my God, what a great story. What a great thing to film. But I'm like, I don't want to do it. I knew music rights would be hellish, and just the whole process would be hellish. But I sent the email to my manager in Los Angeles, and I said, hey, Peter, take a look at this. Someone should really make a film. And then he emailed me right back. He goes, you should make the film. He goes, stand by. And he's like such a manager. He's like, I'm going to get in touch with their manager. And I'm like, oh my God, Peter, I don't think I want to do it. I really didn't think I wanted to do it. It was a great story, but I wasn't in the right place. But he was like, no. We're just going to call their manager and see how that all goes. Well, one thing led to another. And pretty soon I was talking to their manager, John Barrack, who's in the film, and back and forth. And John then asked the band, asked Neil, and basically they came back and said, no, we don't think so, maybe next year. I said, well, next year you don't have a story. It's this year, because it's Arnel's first year. Next year it's a different story. So I made a deal with them. I said, listen, why don't you give me a day with the band, a day with you guys. I will film something. I'll cut it like a sample. And then you tell me that we don't have a story, right? Because I was so sure there was a story there. So they said, sure. I mean, to their credit, they said, sure, we're rehearsing in Northern California, come out. So we flew out with me and Gabriel, a DP, and we hired a local sound person in San Francisco, Jim. And we filmed them for a day. And then I came back, I cut this like 15-minute sample, sent it to the band, and they were like, okay, yeah, we have a story. Why don't you come out? So be careful what you pray for, right? Because then we didn't have money. So that was a whole other, like, oh my God, we went through hoops. But I had a great executive producer, Capella Fahum, who said, let's just jump on board, because this train's leaving. We got to get on board, or it's gonna, it's never gonna happen. So we did, without money. It was just insane. So that's how it got started. And of course, we raised, or tried to raise money along the way. But basically, we just jumped on board.
So you said that you guys filmed all the concert footage. How big was your crew? Like, how many people did you have working out on the concerts? Or
oh, on the concerts, very. I mean, depending on the city, like in San Francisco, we knew a lot of. I know a lot of shooters, so we'd invite them to come out and shoot, and they'd just do it because it was fun, for a couple of hour shoot journey. But I had like really one or two main DPs with us at all times to film backstage. And then the concerts would be filmed in the pit or back, depending on the wings or backstage, So it was a very small crew. So you can tell from the big iconic, because I wanted it to look different from the iconic concert footage you usually see until Manila. Then Manila, you see the crane shot, you see the bigness of it. Manila, they shot for themselves, because they released a DVD of the Manila concert. So out of that, there was an agreement that we could use that footage. So I misspoke. So aside from Chile and the Manila footage, everything else was ours.
okay.
Yeah, a very small. I mean, no more than. I don't think I had any more. At any given time, the biggest. No more than 3 cameras. 3 cameras was a lot.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to some other people's questions, a few remaining. So come up and ask questions.
I want to ask a question. Ramona, normally I would just let them do this. Normally I would just let them do this, but I have questions and there's only a group of us here. We really had about 45 people. But so you said that you edited that little segment. Did any of that segment that you edited end up in the final film?
Oh, absolutely. Like the Arnel's interview in the vineyard, you know, with, yeah, it's one of his, it was my very first interview with him. That ended up in the film. Their rehearsal in their, like, the warehouse in Northern California, that a few scenes of that, a few shots of that ended up at the beginning of the film. I think I actually, right after the opening credits, I think that was the first scene. So yes, absolutely.
And how, so how long were you, did you travel with the band? How long was that tour that you were with?
So it was 08. So that's the summer of 08, we went, we jumped on and off that entire summer. Like we'd run out of money, so we jumped off and tried to jump on again. And then we followed Arnel to the Philippines right after he finished that tour. So we were with him in Manila. And then we picked it up again when Journey went to Asia.
Right.
So we were
so I mean, you had some very almost intimate moments with Arnel and his family. And I was just wondering, you know, I just wonder if you could talk about that, because he really, by the time you were in Asia anyway, he really let you in to his life. I mean, or is that just a, you know, maybe not as much as it feels like? But.
Oh, no, it really is. I mean, usually, you know, this is my, like my third, Journey's my third film. And usually I do get that kind of access to the people I'm filming. You need that kind of access. They need to trust you in order to make that kind of film. By then, I mean, 08 for him was his first tour. It was very intense. So we really bonded in 08. So by the time Manila came around the next year, I mean, we were like, you know, he really let us into his life. I mean, even when in the massage scene, you know, when he's getting massaged, the masseuse said, stopped and said, you know, she said, maybe you should leave now. And Arnel was like, oh, no. They know everything about me. They can stay. So, yeah, by then he was like so open and, you know, but that took months. It took like, when we were first with him, I didn't shoot all the time. Like there were times when I felt like, okay, he was tired of us. I'd leave him alone. And then I'd come back, you know, I'd give him a few, like an hour without us. And then I'd come back to his dressing room. But by the end of the tour, he was so used to us being in his dressing room. We could hang out even if he wasn't doing anything. Even if he was like, he was going to nap. At first he would like say, I'm about to nap, guys. Can you leave? But by the end of the tour, he would nap and we'd be there, you know. He just got so used to us.
So what's the secret of gaining that trust?
I think you know, it's really time, and knowing that you're not out to get you're not out to get them, you know. It's not about the gotcha moment. It's not reality television. It really is about their story unfolding before the camera, and they have to trust that you're going to do that. And only time really, you know, will give you that kind of access. Time and being there constantly. Like I remember Neil, you know, I explained to the band what I wanted. You know, we're going to film the entire tour. We'll be there constantly. And I remember Neil at some point in the middle of the tour looked up and he saw Julia, who was filming him in the dressing room, and said, "You guys still here?" And we're like, "Neil, yeah, we will be here until the end of the tour." They weren't used to, like they were used to like the big networks just like helicoptering in and then leaving, you know, after a few hours. They weren't used to people. I mean, they were like, "Oh my God, you really want to make this film?" So after a while, they realized how, you know, obsessed we were, how passionate we were about making this film. So they sort of got it, you know. They realized, oh, okay, so this is what you want to make. It's not a news piece, you know. It's not a 7-minute segment on, you know, the morning shows or
the red carpet shuffle or whatever,
or ET, or, you know. Yeah.
So I've got two other questions before I went. Other people have questions. I feel like I'm hogging. But Griffith Park, or at the Greek, right? You chose to just show from the monitor. Were you not allowed to go into the audience? Did you not have tickets?
Exactly right. That's exactly. We were not allowed. We were only allowed backstage. Yeah, backstage. So I said, okay, how are we going to do this? So we'll film the monitors. Yeah, we weren't allowed.
Okay.
That was a lot. I mean, we had to negotiate every venue because every venue is different, right? So I had a great producer. Like when we hit the ground running, she'd be like negotiating, and it was crazy because there were so many unions to,
Sure.
But yeah, the Greek was like impossible.
Right.
Impossible.
Yeah, I wondered if that was the case, or if you just said, well, let's do some variety.
No, yeah, I should have said that. I should have said no. We were trying to be.
It's all artistic. It's all artistic.
It is an aesthetic choice now. Of course not. That was limitations of the production.
And the final question has slipped my mind. So, except for maybe, are you still in contact at all with Arnel?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. He's doing well. He's still with the band. He just, I think, performed the national anthem with Neil and Jonathan and like what is it, Monday Night Football. So he was great. Yeah, still with the band.
Very good. I'm sure there's some questions here, right? There are. Good. This is you guys have to step up on by count of you being the last ones here.
So I just had one quick question. I was just curious if any of the shots were kind of staged to kind of portray past experiences, or if everything was pretty much candid.
Like what? Which footage were you thinking?
I mean, there was one shot where I saw Arnel. He showed up, and there was just a bunch of little kids coming up and asking for autographs.
Oh yeah.
Or like with the part where he walked out the door and all the Filipinos were outside and they were waiting for him.
That's all. That is just us, like
following him.
Yeah, it's just luck, especially that when he was looking for a signal, and then he stepped out, right, because he couldn't find a signal. That was pure luck. I mean, just following him, and then all the fans came up to him. That was like golden, when you get those golden moments. And the kids coming up to him, he visited his old school in the Philippines. And, when they saw him, they all ran up. I don't know that they knew exactly who he was, but they saw that he was with a crew. So he must have been someone famous, right? Just like the opening, right? And the cold open when this teacher says, "Oh, can I have a picture with you?" And then turns to him and says, "What's your name?" Right? She knew he was famous, but she couldn't really wrap her head around how famous and the band Journey. She had no idea, but of course she had to have her picture taken because he must be famous if there's a camera around him. It's that kind of fame in the in this the age of social media.
So then the most staging that really happened was just making sure that the cameras were ready and then saying, okay, go. And then he would just go, and then the rest of the reactions were natural.
I wouldn't even say go. Really, I mean, when you shoot verite footage, you're just really hanging out with them. Mm-hmm. Whatever happens, right? I wouldn't say action or something. Never. I would never call attention to the process.
Okay.
So, yeah, whatever happened in this day, we'd just be there. Sometimes I'd film, sometimes I wouldn't. I would also, it's like instinct, right? I mean, if he was tired of us, I'd leave him alone. If he wasn't, then I'd come back in. But yeah, never. It was really according to what was happening in his life. Whatever happened in his life, we would film.
So in that case, was there anything that you would have hoped to have been able to film and just never got a chance?
I had hoped Steve Perry would come around and sing a duet with Arnel, but that never happened. But otherwise, no. I mean, just because he gave us so much access to his life.
Yeah, I noticed there wasn't hardly anything about Steve Perry in the movie. Was there any reason for that?
Because that's a whole other movie, and I think it would have derailed Arnel's story.
Fair enough.
That's still a movie that's waiting to be made.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Feels like it takes me forever to get up here. I have questions about when making the documentary that you did, and you knew that there was a story there. Did you have any kind of plan on how the story would unravel, or did you wait until you're done filming and then go through all of your footage to decide where that story was?
I had no idea. I mean, he could have failed, right? It would have been such a different story. I mean, if he had lost his voice the second show, that would have been it. So no, you never really have an idea until you do. I mean, of course, at the end, when you know, okay, this is it. I think I have a story. It's in the especially after Manila, I knew I had a story. Then I knew even before getting into the editing room, the arc of the story, because I'd already shot it. But while you're shooting it, you don't know.
So when shooting, and you knew that you probably had that first tour the first year, how much footage did you end up having to go through and kind of decide, or did you keep a log of what you had shot and know where all of that was to pull out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had everything was logged. Everything as we went along, everything was logged and very organized, and I had a great editor. So I knew exactly what I had. I need to know as I film what I'm getting and what I have and what I need more of, right? Because it forms your kind of shoot. I mean, I shot gavel to gavel that whenever we were with them, but then you have to shoot smart, right? You have to shoot, what to shoot. So you have to know what you have, what you still lack, and what you're hoping for. So I always have a shot list and, sort of tick off, okay, I have this, but I want it again. It's like different takes, right? Like every night he would come backstage, take off his shirt and be rubbed down. I mean, he did that every night. I shot it every night because I wanted the best take. When I got the best take, I'm like, okay, I'm done. We don't need to shoot that again. So it's like shooting narrative, right? You shoot it all the time until you get the best take. But this is different because you can't really control the action or the light. But it's really the same idea. You just keep on shooting it until you have the perfect take for your purposes.
How closely did you work with the editor on the arc of the story?
I work, I work with the same editor on all my films. So I work very, very closely with her. I help structure the film. I choose, I always have an A list, my golden moments list, and then my the golden, silver, and maybe list, I do. And then we constantly go back and forth.
How long did it take you after you had wrapped up filming to get it finished and finalized?
I think 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 9-10 months.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello.
Hey.
So you said this was your third film.
Yep.
What are you working on now?
I am working on a purely verite film, completely verite, on the busiest maternity hospital, which happens to be, again, in the Philippines. And I'm cutting it now, as a matter of fact. I just finished my structuring it on paper and hope to be done by March.
That's so cool. So you mainly do documentaries.
I am a documentary filmmaker, yes.
That's what you do. That's so cool. Awesome. So just, I don't know if you touched on it or not. I was wondering how much footage you ended up with altogether for this film that we just watched. If you even know how many hours.
I know terabytes.
Okay, terabytes.
Terabytes, 10 terabytes?
All right.
Yeah, we had a lot.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, and that's not even 4K, so that's less.
Yeah.
Right? Because now everyone's 4K now, and yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You guys should be introducing your names, by the way.
Hi, my name is Betsy.
Hi.
And I just had a quick question. Did you have an overall favorite part? Oh, sorry, I'm short.
That's all right. Me too, I am, so.
Did you have a favorite part of filming? Just like one favorite scene or something that you really enjoyed?
Really enjoyed filming or really loved the scene? You know how
Either both.
I loved filming the concerts more than I thought I would. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Because it was different every night. Although they Journey's very, they're very sets. I don't know. They're very, they have sets, and it's all this. It's the same every night. That's Journey. But filming them, you see all the nuances, all the differences there. So I enjoyed that. I loved shooting Arnel backstage, simply because it was like, I don't know, it was this special thing that was happening to him, and we were witness to it. I was witnessing him coming into his own and just embracing his sort of popularity at the end. So that was a lot of fun.
Perfect. And were you a big Journey fan before this, or did you?
No, not so much. Not really.
Okay.
Now I really appreciate their music. I really appreciate what they can do with it, and now I understand why the fans love them. When they have they're I mean, it's an obsessive core of fans they have, and I truly I understand why they're obsessed with that band.
Perfect. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
So this film was pretty fun for me to watch because I spent 2 years in the Philippines as a missionary. So I feel like I'm part Filipino, kind of.
Okay.
I love the Philippine culture. My question is, when you're interviewing Arnel and he was speaking in Tagalog, was that something that you asked him to do, or did he just feel more comfortable speaking in Tagalog, or how'd that go?
He felt more comfortable speaking in Tagalog, and I knew that. So I encouraged him to speak in what he was most comfortable speaking, because otherwise I don't think I would have gotten that much of. He's a great storyteller, but in Tagalog, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought it really added to the film because I think that he could tell his story better in Tagalog, and so I thought it was really good.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
That was my only question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Okay, so yeah. Oh, Duane's coming too, but we just want to say thank you so much. Too bad that some of our people left, but it was so much fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Thank you.
It was great. You know, my very first concert as a child, I saw the Escape Tour in 1982 when I was
Oh my goodness.
there with Loverboy open for them. So pretty good
Hard
time.
for them that in the 08 tour, right?
What? Say that again.
I think we even have Ann Wilson in some of the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. And we're so sorry that we kept you up so much later, but I appreciate the.
Thank you for coming and watching and enjoying.
Absolutely. And good luck with everything else. And thanks for the time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.